Hello, everyone. It is exciting for us to see so many people have registered. Thank you for taking the time today to watch our presentation and learn how to launch your AI pilot. I'm Holly Henn. I'm the president of CBA, Critical Business Analysis, and my co-presenter is David Taylor from LoadSpring Solutions. He is the Chief Commercial Officer. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the question bar, and we will be addressing them at the end of the webinar. I'd like to take a minute to introduce you to Critical Business Analysis, if you are unfamiliar with our company, and a brief overview of our 4 pillars. Our professional services includes business structure coaching and consultation, data management, data migration and cleaning, software and AI implementations, business software design, and dashboards. We will explore in more detail our services related to the development and implementation of an AI initiative today. Our staffing provides contractors and direct hire options for project management and project controls professionals. We specialize in project schedulers, estimators, construction project managers, superintendents, and project engineers. Our academy provides virtual, on-site, customized, and public training classes for P6, OPC, and MSP scheduling software, located in Perrysburg, Ohio, and Atlanta, Georgia. Our software solutions provide our customers with the most updated project management and project scheduling software on the market, including many add-on software options that provide analysis, oversight, and efficiencies to your business processes. CBA and LoadSpring has had a long, rich partnership of over 20 years. We have a strategic alignment in the emerging field of AI to combine the power of our services and provide our clients with expertise and experience to successfully initiate and complete an AI implementation. LoadSpring has been at the forefront of digital transformation. For over 25 years, LoadSpring has been empowering project-intensive organizations with cutting-edge cloud technology, data transformation solutions, and AI-powered analytics. With a track record of supporting over $1 trillion in capital project value across 6,000 global organizations, they've helped business modernize their systems, enhance decision-making, and drive maximum ROI. It is my pleasure to introduce today LoadSpring Solutions, David Taylor, Commercial Officer, as he will share invaluable insights on how AI is revolutionizing project controls, unlocking new efficiencies, and shaping the future of the industry. Please join me in welcoming David Taylor.
Thank you, Holly. It's a pleasure to be here today. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Hopefully you can see my screen. It looks like my screen is up. I am thrilled to have you join us for today's webinar, Getting Started with AI, What You Need to Know to Launch Your First Successful Pilot. As Holly mentioned, my name is Dave Taylor. I am the Chief Commercial Officer at LoadSpring Solutions. And if you are a project controls, project management, or an executive professional trying to decide how to leverage AI to increase your efficiencies and profitability, whether it's on your projects or whether it's for your company, this session is designed specifically for you. So over the next 30 minutes or so, we'll break down AI in a way that's practical, engaging, and I think most importantly, useful for your work in scheduling, cost, and risk management. So we're going to dive right in. Oh, by the way, as Holly mentioned, if you have any questions, please put them in the bar, the questions bar, so we can cover them. We'll also be conducting a couple of polls during this presentation, so I encourage you to participate in them. Without much more, let's move on. So, unless you've been living in isolation in the desert over the past 2 or 3 years, then you're probably getting bombarded every day with AI messaging and how it's going to solve every one of your problems. Well, surprise, it doesn't, at least not yet. That said, AI is already transforming a number of industries, such as healthcare, finance, and supply chain management, and it's starting to make headway in the capital-intensive project market. But let's face it, right? AI can feel overwhelming. So today, we're here to demystify it. We're going to cover what AI is without the marketing jargon. We're going to look at real-world applications, how to prepare for success, and offer a step-by-step roadmap to launch your AI pilot. My goal is that by the end of this webinar, you'll feel much more confident about taking that first step. Quick tip before we get started, and I always try and give this advice when it comes to AI. Just like most things in life, before jumping headfirst into something that could be risky or at least cause you massive headaches, I'm sure you've heard the phrase, measure twice, cut once. Well, we like to apply that same concept to AI implementation. Measure twice, AI once. It'll save you time, it'll save you money, and it'll save you a boatload of frustration. So let's take a quick step back first, and let's see how AI implementations are going so far. According to several research studies, not so great, at least not yet. According to one Gartner study that we found, 85% of AI projects fail to deliver their intended results due to poor data quality or lack of relevant data. Another study from RAND indicates in its research that 80% of AI projects fail due to the misalignment of goals and leadership's having unexpected expectation of AI capabilities. And that leads to inadequate resource allocation and support, which ultimately is going to doom an AI project. We have found that AI projects can also fail due to a misunderstanding of project objectives, right? So to avoid this, it requires an ongoing dialogue between the business teams and the technical teams to build a shared understanding of objectives and ensure a shared vocabulary, making sure everybody's speaking the same AI language. Lastly, we are seeing that placing an overemphasis on the application of cutting-edge technology can lead to solutions that are technologically advanced but lack practical applicability. So we're going to cover these issues in the presentation in the hope that you can avoid some of these mistakes that others have experienced. So what exactly is artificial intelligence, other than a pretty cool Steven Spielberg movie from many years ago? We'll keep it simple, right? AI is a tool that helps machines learn and make decisions, just like we humans do, but exponentially faster across exponentially more data or information. Think of it as a super smart assistant that can analyze patterns, predict outcomes, and automate repetitive tasks. However, unlike traditional computing programming or automation, AI doesn't just follow the rules, it actually adapts, it learns, and it does improve over time. The more you utilize it, the stronger it gets. The concept of AI, however, has been around for a long time. It was just under a different name. It was called a computing machine, right? Back in the 50s and 60s. Machines have been learning and making decisions since the early days. It's just that humans explicitly did the programming of the learning back then. In fact, it's interesting, I found out some information last week. Artificial intelligence was actually first coined in 1956 by a computer scientist named John McCarthy. McCarthy defined AI as the science and engineering of making intelligent machines. Now, like any technology, we can become over-dependent on AI, which can cause some real issues down the road and how it can solve your project or your business-related problems. And we're going to get into a little bit more of that as the presentation goes on. And oh yeah, so the other thing we do have to put out there, it's not coming for your job. AI is here to enhance your work, not replace it. You still control it, at least for now. And if we had sound, I would key the Terminator music right about now. So before we move on to the next slide, we're going to take our first poll here. And I'd like to know how many of you have an AI initiative currently underway in your organization or are planning an AI initiative in the near future. We'll wait for some of the results on this. Please participate. Right now, it looks like it's 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 80-20. Creeping up a little bit more to we already have an AI initiative. So that's about what we've seen with our customers. About 25% already have an AI initiative underway. About 75% are actually in the planning process. 0% are not thinking about it, if that makes sense. Not thinking about it. They're all thinking about it. All right. So it's really, really important to remember that AI is not simply utilized for the end result. It's not utilized for the output. It's not just about the reporting. AI is actually an integral part of the entire digital transformation lifecycle. The graph you see here on the slide illustrates the digital transformation framework that LoadSpring and CBA use to ensure that we and our customers speak the same language as we head down this AI journey together. As we run through this three-part framework, you'll see that AI is actually utilized throughout, not just in the last predictive or preemptive intelligence phase. So if we start on the left side of the framework, we have the foundational elements, or the orange side of the framework, as we like to call it. We have cloud strategy, we have data acquisition, cleansing, normalization, and data transformation. These are items that you might consider to be rather pedestrian and involve a tremendous amount of human intervention and time, but AI can actually be utilized here really, really effectively. Take data collection, for example, right? Imagine the collection of data in the field via photos, video, LiDAR, voice. It doesn't all have to be typed in. AI can turn these visual and audio data elements into usable data for use in modeling or reporting. That means very little manual input or human interpretations required. We're actually doing this right now. Let's take another time-consuming and relatively mundane process, data transformation. At LoadSpring and CBA, we actually use AI in a program that we call Rosetta Stone and Insights to clean, normalize, and transform incomplete and dirty data into usable, relevant, and reliable data for predictive intelligence. Our Rosetta Stone AI can actually translate disparate data sources and applications, unifying and aligning that data within seconds. It does it all through the creation of data dictionaries and data thesauruses, and then it has a very, very powerful translation engine, very, very similar to human language translation, so that all of these things can be aligned properly across these disparate sources. And it does it in seconds, or certainly in minutes. And these are things that used to take a team of data scientists months to accomplish through hard coding. And we all know what happens when we hard code. Someone puts something in slightly incorrectly, it breaks all the coding, and then you have to spend days, weeks, or certainly hours figuring out where the code broke. So you don't need to do hard coding anymore. Again, this is all happening right now and here. And of course, AI can take petabytes or exabytes of data and interrogate it in milliseconds. And that helps to provide predictive, prescriptive, or even preemptive intelligence in the blue section of this digital transformation path. So AI is not just the end result. You're not just throwing a large language model on a big set of data and hoping to get an answer out of it. There is a process in the digital transformation framework. And it is a tool that can be applied throughout the entire process because there are specific AI tools for specific jobs. So, second poll, I'd like to take a quick one here. Take a moment to provide your assessment of where you believe your organization is on this framework. Are you in the orange foundational part of the journey? Is your organization in the green, where you can access analytics that provide hindsight or even insight? Or have you already achieved what we like to call blue status? Are you well into predictive intelligence? We'll take a moment here and we'll see where everybody is. Great job, guys. You're much quicker on this poll than the first one. All right, I think what we're seeing here is very similar to what we've seen in the actual field. We've got a large amount of folks, 90 to 95% of our customers, and we work with over 1,000 organizations, are still in the cloud ecosystem. They're still in the foundational part of the organization where they're still acquiring data. They're still trying to interrogate it. They're still trying to do a little bit of transformation. So you're not alone. This is very, very common. And one reason why AI has not made such a prevalent headway into this specific industry. Okay. So, all right, before you dive into AI, you need a game plan. So the biggest mistake most companies make is jumping into the AI project without a clear goal, right? They apply very cool, promising AI technology without a defined outcome or clear KPIs. So you need to ask yourself a couple of questions. Number one, where can AI fit into our existing processes? And just as importantly, where will we have to create new processes to accommodate the AI? Sometimes this takes the longest out of the entire process if your organization cannot or does not move quickly. Very important. What problem are we trying to solve? What questions need to be answered to give us the required information we need to solve that problem? Is our data clean? Is it complete? Relevant? Is it accurate? Is it even accessible? Very, very important foundational stuff. How's success going to be measured? Will it be cost savings, faster delivery time? I don't know, more accurate projections? You have to determine how it's going to be measured. And then finally, who are the stakeholders and how are we going to gather their requirements and demonstrate an expected return on investment? Because sometimes the stakeholders are not technical folks, they're not aware of AI, or they think they're aware of AI, and they're going to verbally give you requirements and you may interpret them incorrectly. My advice here is get it in writing, get the agreement in writing, get your KPIs in writing, get your goal in writing before you even start down this journey. Otherwise, you're going to be twisting and turning along the entire path. It's going to waste a lot of time, effort, and money. Another tip, start small. We counsel our customers to start small. Do not boil the ocean. Choose a single measurable use case. I don't know, like improving cost forecasting by 10%. It's all about focus. Clearly define your goal and get agreement on it, and then AI can in fact help you get there. All right, now before we start implementing any AI initiative, you do need to determine what approach or methodology you want to take. There are two primary schools of thought when it comes to this. The first is an outcomes-based methodology, and the second is a capabilities-based methodology. Understanding the difference between both of those, it is critical for success. So let me start with an outcomes-based approach and talk a little bit about that. The outcomes-based approach methodology starts with aligning your business goals first, right? You have to start with a clear objective or issue, such as increasing job site productivity by 20% or reducing operational costs by 15%, something like that. This objective must be defined in advance and it has to be agreed upon by all stakeholders. Otherwise, don't start. You're just going to get led around in circles. So you have to start with that step. Second, you need to define your specific desired outcomes and KPIs. Again, they have to be agreed upon by all stakeholders. Following an outcomes-based approach helps remove the inclination to spend too much time on the art of the possible, and instead allows you to focus on tangible results, getting to the specific task at hand. The AI systems are then designed and trained to deliver those specific outcomes, right? Outcomes-based allows for precise measurement of AI's impact, and it generally assures the alignment with its strategic objectives of the business. And ultimately, we think outcomes-based is going to get you to tangible tangible ROI from your AI investments quicker. Too many acronyms. And you'll do it with a lot fewer complications along the way. Now, the second type of methodology is called capabilities-based approach. It focuses on building internal AI expertise and infrastructure. And this method aims at enhancing technology capabilities first, without immediately tying efforts to specific KPIs. You can apply the technology across your existing data and see what you get back. Then, depending on your results, you can continue to iterate and train on the AI until you arrive at a result that's satisfactory and meets your needs or meets the needs of your stakeholders. While capabilities-based approach is useful for long-term AI adoption, and you may see some results, some small results a little bit quicker, it usually takes longer to yield measurable business results due to the training and the iterative process that's involved in getting this technology exactly where you need it to be. Critics of this approach describe it as deploying technology for technology's sake. For our customers in the project controls and management field in the AEC space, we always counsel our customers to take the outcomes-based approach because it's typically more effective, and we've seen and witnessed that it ensures AI can deliver real actionable value right from the start. You actually start seeing results in the beginning when you start. With that, I'm going to move on to the how. So how do we do this? We're going to give you a simple, proven roadmap that we've utilized for well over 2 years now to launching an AI pilot using the outcomes-based methodology. It's very important to understand that we start the discovery process and work backwards before we begin to build forward with the technology solution. And you'll see what I'm talking about once I show you the graphic. As mentioned, always start by determining your AI use case. What challenge are you tackling? Is it scheduling? Is it cost? Is it risk? Is it profitability? Is it safety? You need to determine that first, okay? We're not throwing technology on something looking for a problem. We need to solve an actual problem. So, first thing you need to do, step number one, you need to define a single business issue or problem that you need to solve. Do not, again, boil the ocean. Start with one pressing issue, and it should not be a BHAG, right? It should not be a big, hairy, audacious goal. It should move the goalposts, but you need to keep it simple. Next, you need to determine what question or two must be answered in order to provide the information required to solve the problem. Our technology output at the end will answer this question, okay? From there, you got to keep working backwards. What kind of analytics are needed to answer the question? And what specific data inputs are required to feed the analytics? You certainly do not need every piece of data, right, from every application, but by choosing only the required data elements, you can also simplify the process and speed it up to get to an answer and to get to an outcome faster. Lastly, you do need to locate and gather that data. You got to find out where the data resides. Is it on laptops, internal servers? Is it in the cloud on Azure or GCP or AWS? Or is it on the LoadSpring cloud platform? You need to know where it exists. Is it Excel documents? Okay, it could be a lot of Excel documents. I'm going to quickly turn to Andrew at CBA. Did I miss anything here, Andrew? Any additional thoughts or comments?
All kinds. I could not all kinds of misses. Sorry, all kinds of thoughts and comments. I could bore anybody to death about my fanboyism for AI. So let me try and keep it brief. This is the the complexity that businesses are looking at is right in the bend here. We have Excel files, Autodesk files, P6, Power Project, Aconex, disparate data. And David says, don't try and boil the ocean, and I agree with him. When you're going towards a specific AI initiative, you should be trying to maintain focus towards an achievable goal. However, in the background, this is the space that I live in, is the disparate data sources. And so my general thinking about how businesses should be approaching this new AI world we're heading into is the datafication of every aspect of the business. So there is this quote that I don't even know where I picked it up, but AI will look at a business as individual components to be optimized. And so when you take something like an estimate and you run it from Autodesk into Excel, and then maybe you're applying rates to it or an estimation database of some sort, applying rates to it, moving it into Excel to summarize those into a job budget, and then maybe you're putting that into P6, and then you're tracking it in between P6 and Unifier or whatever you might be doing. There was data points that followed through that whole process, but they're disconnected at every step along the way. And so making a relationship between the original thing that was in Autodesk through to the purchase agreement is not necessarily easy to make that relationship. And I think that's the problem. That's the datafication that's required, is the link of all of those components across disparate systems so that those relationships can be defined. The key metrics that your business is focused on or needs to be focused on can be analyzed and predicted, and all of the wonderful things that you could do with AI, because it's the most transformational tool. I think that, well, I say this now, but I guess my lifetime could see more transformational tools in this, because everything seems to be picking up speed at a furious rate here. But this concept of taking all of these disparate sources and unifying them into a single data set so that you can work with an AI with it, this is the critical component of this, in my opinion. It's not avoidable. Like, every component of every interaction within a business or any process will eventually be datafied. So you definitely need to be thinking about how to get through that. And things like P6 and Autodesk, these systems are infinitely complex, and so everybody might use them in a different fashion. So there's no one size fits all. There's no like feed it into the machine and there you've got my whole database, produce some awesome output result from it. This is the part where you need to map, like, how do we use this software? What KPIs are we interested in? What are the metrics that we're interested in tracking or that we need to track? Where are our pain points? And then, to David's point, solve those particular problems and map out how you're gonna, how you want to address that specific problem that you're aware of. Because that, just merging like 4 databases into a data warehouse and having all the data there and then connecting an AI to it, it needs focus. It needs, you need to kind of funnel that down to a purpose, and then structure the data that you feed it in a specific fashion so that you get excellent results. I've tried feeding large amounts of data in. One thing that you can actually try is where you have a complex thing that you want to accomplish, like let's say taking a 200-page PDF and getting some summaries out of it at some level. Many AI tools right now will allow that amount of content in a single context window, in a single conversation, and would give you varying results. However, if you take that PDF and you break it into individual components, so maybe each chapter that becomes like a JSON object or some sort of structured object, and you pass it through one object at a time and have the AI perform the same analysis, it blows the first approach out of the water with the end results. So in my experience with these tools, and I've been playing with GPT since whenever 2020 or whenever it first came out, my experience is that structure and that cohesive organization of data is the part that really accelerates the benefit that you can get out of it. That there is no just connect it to our system and access everything. You have to be very purposeful, and you have to do that funneled approach of getting the appropriate data to the tools that you're going to use.
Excellent. Thank you. That's why we have you here. You're the tech guy. I'm not. Excellent advice. Excellent advice. So, as Andrew was just saying, we have all the data in the state that it's ready to start translating into useful data. So only after you've actually worked back through this vital discovery process can you build forward, right, with your technical solution with what we call the 8 C's. So on the bottom here in blue, you'll see that you do need to start collecting the data. We suggest creating a cloud-based repository where you can place the data that you've collected or utilize an AI-assisted integration tool to pull the data from other locations. Of course, AI is only as good as the sources that it accesses. So the very next step is super important. You need to clean, you need to normalize, and transform that data into a usable state of relatable, accurate, and relevant data. Again, there are AI and LLM tools specifically designed for this task, so it can reduce time, cost, and effort on what is typically a pretty manual process. The next step is also vital. You must connect, translate, convert, and align all the disparate data sources into a unified state so you can run calculations and you can have an accurate analysis. And then lastly, you need to find a way to communicate the results. It's a way to answer the original question. Remember, we determined that way back when, probably 2 or 3 weeks prior. You need to determine what tool will most likely be the most convenient for the consumption of the information by the stakeholders, by the users. There are a lot of ways to do this, right? You can use Power BI, you can use some natural language query tools like ChatGPT, or even LoadSpring Talk to Your Data, etc., right? But you need to choose the tool that's right for you. You need to choose the AI tool that will be used and consumed by the stakeholders, not just sitting there because it's too complex or they don't know how to use it. So remember, don't go overboard with the analytical AI tool. You simply need to answer the question that solves that one business issue that we identified. So again, remember, measure twice, AI once. You're measuring twice, moving backwards through the discovery. You're AIing, I guess that's a term, AIing once on the bottom when you're building the technical solution. Oh, and as a point of reference, in our partnership to assist customers with their digital transformation efforts, CBA serves as the consultant who works on the top half of this model in the backwards green discovery phase, the measure twice portion. LoadSpring then takes that work and builds forward with the technology solution, the blue portion, or the AI once portion, if that makes sense. Okay, so quick recap. Work backwards first, right? It's not going to feel intuitive. Most organizations start with the presumption of the answer first, and then they simply throw AI technology and applications at the data. 2, ensure that your AI initiative is aligned with the company's strategic objectives and it is focused on what needs to be addressed, not on the broad possibility of what could be addressed. 3rd, you do need to define the problem first and then work with an outcomes-based approach. Hopefully you've seen the value in that over a capabilities-based approach. You do need to ensure that stakeholders' needs and goals are defined and again, agreed to, preferably in a document or an email or in writing, okay? As I've mentioned, you do not boil the ocean. Pick one issue. Be successful on this first trial. If you're successful on this first trial, you're going to get many other shots at solving other issues. If you try and boil the ocean, if you try and tackle a problem that's just too large, it'll take too long, it'll spend too much money, it'll sap too many resources, and if it doesn't get the answers that the stakeholders were looking for, chances are you're probably not going to be doing it again, certainly at least for not a long time, or they'll choose someone else to do it, right? And then you methodically have to work through the distinct steps that we outlined to achieve the answers to the question that solves that original problem, right? And then you wash, rinse, and repeat on the next issue. So get lots of small, short duration wins in the beginning before you build up to the larger BHAGs, right? And then you can start attacking those BHAGs. All right, let's talk about common challenges because of course, no AI journey is without its hurdles, right? There are some common roadblocks and we like to talk a little bit about how you can get past them. So AI can be a game changer for each of your businesses, no doubt. But you have to be careful not to become overly dependent on the technology. Don't assume what it provides is necessarily correct. Don't let it lull you into a false sense of security. Remember, AI has the power to provide very, very fast, incredibly accurate, high confidence, super precise, wrong results, right? So I don't know about you, but if I'm going to get wrong results, I want them to be low confidence, I want them to not be so precise, and I want them to not be very accurate, right? So trust is critical. You want your output to be accurate. You need it to be consistent. If you ask the question or you ask for a report in different ways, it has to come back with the same answer, right? It has to be observable and it has to be reliable. All it takes is one wrong result to throw doubt into the entire project. All it takes is for one project manager to say, well, wait a second, you just asked a question about what seems to be hindering, how many projects are behind schedule, and it said 15 and it showed these 15. And I can guarantee you that these 15, only 8 of them are behind schedule, right? All it takes is one person to throw doubt in the entire project, and then there's doubt in results coming forward. AI does make mistakes. That's why monitoring for bias and iteration are key. AI gets better over time. So you need to choose an AI software that lets you peek under the covers, right? You need to choose an AI solution that allows for human intervention. It lets you see what sources and calculations it utilized to arrive at its conclusion. If you hit a challenge, don't panic, adjust your approach, and keep moving forward. Yet a lot of people say, well, my data is not ready. What if your data is not ready? That's okay. You can start the entire process by cleaning and structuring your most important data assets. Those assets will then eventually allow you to answer the questions to your business problem, right? And then lastly, another big challenge is because people are naturally resistant to change, and AI is no different, right? So you need to educate your team. You need to explain and demonstrate how AI was going to help them rather than replace them or replace their work. That's typically a large fear if you're going to start talking about adding AI into people's work schedules, right? That they're going to lose their job, their team's going to lose their job, and they're going to be down, 30% and get the same work done. AI is here to help, at least for right now, rather than replace. All right, we're going to get into some exciting stuff now. So we're going to talk about AI in action. We're going to share a case study with you, a real life case study that we just completed a few weeks ago that's showing tremendous promise. So let's talk about the fun part of AI, the real world applications, right? So imagine AI optimizing your project schedules, predicting cost overruns before they happen, or even identifying risks before they escalate. So here's some real world examples that AI can do, right? So you're talking about AI-driven scheduling. This is where AI can analyze historic data to predict project delays and optimize in real time, optimize your timelines in real time. Cost forecasting. AI can learn from past budget trends, and it can flag potential overruns preemptively and early. In risk management, AI can scan data in real time to uncover hidden risks so you can act proactively and now before it becomes a problem. And then lastly, in process automation, AI can stream project workflows, it can cut out manual work, which then allows you to free up for more strategic problem solving. So AI is already delivering real results in a few examples in the project controls and project management sector. And up next, we're going to examine one of those practical approaches and how we utilized AI with one of our customers. The case study we're going to share will show you how an outcomes-based AI approach yielded very quick results and made immediate impact with the customer. So with that, I'd like to introduce Dr. Asif Sharif. Asif is our Managing Director for LoadSpring UK. Asif worked closely with our customer on this, and he led the team on the project. So I'm going to let him run through the case study rather than myself. So Asif, over to you.
Thank you very much, David. I'm going to say afternoon because it's afternoon here, but good morning, everyone. Very nice to have you all on today's podcast. I'd like to share the recent case study that we'd completed with BAM Construction in the UK, well, BAM UK and Ireland. Before I start, I'll just give you a bit of a background who they are. BAM UK and Ireland are one of the largest civil engineering and construction companies in the UK. They are part of actually a wider group called the Royal BAM Group based in Europe. Known for their appetite for construction, they're very progressive in terms of how they use technology to deliver better, more assured outcomes on projects, ranging from things like HS2, which is the biggest rail infrastructure program in Europe at the moment, through to hospitals and school buildings and everything in between. The organization itself is very forward-looking, so we were really encouraged to work with them on a particular challenge that they faced. Their primary challenge was looking at, and based on the reverse racetrack, we were trying to identify a very specific problem that they had, and we narrowed it down to looking at the scheduling technologies that they use for managing time and resources on particular projects and programs of work. The organisation is made up of 3 components in the UK. BAM Ireland, obviously based in Ireland and not in the UK. BAM Construct, which was their building division that did building work, which basically goes up and down. And then BAM Nuttall, which was their infrastructure work, which was basically large infrastructure programs, rail, water, energy, power, etc. Each of those different business units were using a different technology for scheduling. So the predominant technology for the civil engineering division was Oracle P6. For the building division, it was a tool set called Aster Power Project. And for some clients, and in Ireland, they were particularly using Microsoft Project. So they had 3 different tools used to manage different projects across the business estate. What was interesting is that those 3 tools actually are 90% different and only 10% similar in terms of able to categorize and collate the data for reporting. And as we were talking to the management team in the business, what they needed was to have a consistent way of reporting across all projects, irrespective of the actual technology that they were using. What they were feeling was that this was creating inefficiency, inconsistency. It was also leading to poor decision making, because actually it was taking too long for management to be able to have a very clear understanding of what was going on projects, particularly those that were going into the red, and put resources onto them to determine how to turn them around. So what they wanted was a solution that would allow them to unify the data sets. So the goal that we had was to connect 3 different data sets, and it was slightly made a little bit more complicated because one of those tools was actually a SaaS tool. So Alicosoft Vision was the Power Project solution that was used. So that was 100% SaaS solution. Both P6 and Microsoft Project were being managed by LoadSpring in our cloud platform. So they wanted to connect those 3 data sets together. They wanted to then normalize and flatten the data so they could get consistent reporting from them. And then they wanted to query them in a way that was very specific to the language and the terminologies that was used by the BAM teams across the different business units. So actually this project involved 3 sort of core elements. One was collecting the data and cleaning the data ready for reporting. The second one was for normalizing and flattening the data so actually we could report consistently. And the third part was creating a large language model. That's what LLM is. I'm sure you all know. But that LLM was a customized LLM. So it understood and it does understand BAM terminology and language. So we created a data dictionary and a thesaurus that started to understand when people in BAM Ireland were asking a question, as opposed to people in BAM Nuttall or BAM building, they were able to ask very specific questions. In terms, thanks David. In terms of, sorry, I'm just trying to move my screen as well. In terms of the solution alignment, the key was to build a app agnostic platform for BAM, and which was powered by AI. The data was normalized, as I said, we translated it, there was alignment, and we used a unification process to ensure that there was consistency. Picking up on a point that David made earlier on, trust is critical. It was really, really important that we were able to demonstrate that what we were going to give them was accurate, consistent, and reliable in terms of the results, because If one of their senior project managers had interrogated the database and said, actually, look, the results that we're getting are spurious, it would have really impacted trust. So the team were very keen to ensure that there was a high degree of accuracy, reliability built into the platform, and that actually we were incrementally building trust across the team as they were using it more and more. Effectively, what this has led to is that it's given the team the ability to report across data in a way that they've never been able to do before, make decisions better, and like most organizations, they're focused on productivity, they're focused on efficiency and profitability. So their view is that these things are driving their core requirements in terms of how they want to innovate as a business and how they want to move forward as a business. We can probably move to the next screen, David. So pictorially, the way that this was done, we started off by collecting the data. And as I mentioned, two of the applications was held in the LoadSpring cloud platform, which was Oracle P6 and Microsoft Project, sorry. We also connected to the Alicosoft Asta Vision Cloud, which is 100% SaaS tool. So the first part was to collect the data. The second part was to create an environment where actually that data was sitting. We then cleaned the data, and the cleaning is just by going through a filtering process. We worked with BAM to identify what the filters were they wanted to apply to the various data sets that were coming through, ensure that the data was aligned to those filtering requirements before we then connected the data. And that connecting the data was all about understanding the different words that we're using. So understanding the dictionary, what that dictionary means, and then connecting and translating that. So that actually terms that were different in each of the systems were being aligned and normalized. The output was how this data was then going to be communicated. And this is where we provided them with a variety of outputs. The first output was a hard copy review of the data. So there were some reports that were available. So we provided some visuals. But the second part, and the most critical part of this one, was to actually be able to ask a question. So there was a chatbot service that we provided. We call it Talk to Your Data, whereby you can ask a chatbot a question. It points to the normalized flattened data and will give you a consistent answer. Not only was it able to give you a consistent answer when it came to the consumption, but the team are able to then audit those responses. So you may have used ChatGPT at the moment, and depending on how accurate and precise your prompts are, you're going to get a really accurate response back, probably 80% of the time, 90% of the time. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't often give you the how did you come to that response? Where is the background data? Where's the audit trail behind how that particular answer has been provided? In Talk to Your Data, we were able to do that. So BAM were able to achieve all of the things when it came to the consumption, because we were able to provide them with a visual online service integrated with a LoadSpring cloud platform that looked at this flattened and normalized data and gave them very specific answers to questions, which are accurate, they were consistent, they were reliable, but more importantly, they were auditable. They could see exactly where the AI agents were getting the data from. They could see exactly what data sources were being interrogated. So it gave them a huge amount of confidence moving forward. Sorry, 1 second. So what's been the outcome for BAM? This has been a significant step change in project data alignment. They've not been able to do this before. I think in the UK, they're probably one of the only companies that has successfully done this. And we were able to do it in a very short period of time. The engagement took about 2.5 months from start to finish, to giving them actual access to a real-time querying and normalized set of data. They've received trusted and actionable insights across different tools, something that they've been struggling to do for many years. They could do it, but it would take them a long time. It would be a manual activity, and typically there would be lots of errors. And when it came to the audit, it was very difficult to be able to precisely go back and determine exactly how was that answer achieved. it's giving their team much faster decision making and confidence. And the reason why is that actually what it's allowing their management team to do is look at resource availability and then align that with projects that need attention, right? So putting people on jobs that are in amber before they go to red. As practitioners of the construction industry, you're probably used to this sort of watermelon approach where everything's green, green, green for 75% of the time, and then suddenly it turns red. We've got 25% of the time left to deliver the job, and now we're in a critical situation. Again, they were no different to most construction companies and construction practitioners. They were used to this approach, but actually what it's helping them to do is have better, more access to data to be able to query and understand what that data is telling them and then take preemptive action. Their view is that this is a competitive advantage, and it's helping them with their drive to innovation. And finally, one of the key points again that David has mentioned is that we want to be incremental in the use of tools like AI in construction. It's not a big bang approach. What is really important is to demonstrate value on very specific business challenges. So by identifying a particular problem and successfully achieving a result that gives a strong outcome for the organization has demonstrated a huge amount of value to the planners and the scheduling teams across the business, but also to the executive management team. And they're now increasing their appetite to start deploying more and more AI within the organization. Thanks, David.
Perfect. Thank you, Steve. So we have just about 8 minutes left. I'm just going to wrap up with some final thoughts. We have covered a lot in this session. I hope you're walking away with some practical insights. So some super fast thoughts. AI is real. It does work, but it works when implemented correctly and when it's well thought through. You need to start with an outcomes-based approach. Chances are your company's looking at a capabilities-based approach right now. So you should question that. AI will improve your project outcomes, but you cannot jump on the first shiny AI application or software, again, promising to change your world. And you need to ask the tough questions. How does the technology or approach ensure I'm not just getting junk in or junk out? Does the AI output provide details on how it reached its conclusion? Does it have an audit trail so that you can QC the thought process of the AI? And lastly, are there any manual intervention steps along the way, again, to ensure that the AI is being coached or prodded in the right direction as it learns? That does conclude the presentation for today. We will be sending this presentation out as a PDF to everybody who attended, but we do have a couple of minutes left. You can either ask your questions now. You will also have our contact information on the final slide here, and you can reach out then. So I'll stop for a moment and see if there are any questions.
So far, David, we do not have any questions other than people asking if the webinar will be provided after the fact, and everyone will receive a full recording of this webinar in their email in about 3 hours. We do have some other questions that we've been asked previously that might have had some insight to people who don't want to ask questions right now. But you know, do people need to be cloud enabled to use AI, like referring to the digital transformation framework?
Yeah, I mean, we suggest that you are cloud enabled. You're probably going to be pulling from sources that are partially not cloud enabled, but in order to be truly successful, you should be cloud enabled. Yes,
I would agree. I'd agree with that. I think it's really important that people understand that the foundation of this is data. So access to data is critical, and the easiest way to access data is that it's in the cloud. All clouds aren't the same, right? So you have to be careful about the type of cloud that you're using, but actually providing access to the data is the foundation of what we need to do. So cloud enablement is key.
Okay. Another one is, like what AI tools were used for BAM specifically?
We used our own proprietary tools within LoadSpring. So we have a range of different solutions. We used agentic AI to help with the learning of and the formation of a customized LLM. We also used a standard LLM model. So we didn't create the LLM engine. We evaluated 4 of the top LLMs for performance, reliability, and accuracy. Performance is really important actually when it comes to using LLMs, because now that we're starting to use things like ChatGPT, you put a response in and within seconds you put a question in and in seconds you've got a response. So when it comes to very specific data sets for companies, which are much broader typically and much more specific, it takes a lot longer to process. So we evaluated 4 of the key models that are on the market, and we used one and then we customized it based on the data sets that we were reviewing.
All right. What about staff? Do people need staff being trained to maintain the AI after it's been implemented?
No, sorry.
I was going to say no, not necessarily. No, I mean, if you're hiring an outside organization who specializes in AI, they can take care of all of that. I think you do need someone who understands AI, the project manager, and can perhaps use their skills to translate what's going on to the rest of the staff in the organization. But most of the time, we're seeing the person in charge of AI at our customers have all sorts of different titles. I mean, they're not just IT folks, they're not data scientists. Many people don't even have AI or digital transformation in their job title. In one case, it's the scheduling manager who's the AI designation. So
I think
Okay.
that the key point is that most organizations are interested in the IP surrounding the model and the data that's been used to create that model. That is part of something that we transfer over to our customers. So if we're creating a specific LLM for a customer, we then transfer that over to them, and it's their ownership, not ours.
Okay. I'll ask one last question since we don't have any other questions that are popping up. But what other examples of use cases do you have for people who are in different spaces than maybe BAM would be in? Do you have things that we can send out to people that are, more in their space?
yeah, I mean, we have some case studies we can send over. We have some info sheets, technology position papers. We certainly can send those types of documents out based on whatever your interest is. We have a whole library of it. It's pretty easy reading, actually.
That's all I have on my side, David.
Excellent. Holly, anything you want to say before we sign off?
No, I think you guys did a great job. It was a wonderful webinar. I really hope everybody that attended got a lot of good information from it.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank everyone for attending. Again, you'll be receiving the slides, and we're available if you have any thoughts or questions. Best of luck on your AI journey. You'll have a lot of fun and hopefully not as much frustration, but I think in the end, you'll see how it can really make a difference in your business. So again, thank you for joining us today, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thanks, David.